computer. Here we go.
Board Member Mike Hinsky.
Present.
Board Member Chris Keene. Board Member Emma Madura.
Here.
Board Member Amber Nichols.
Present.
Board Member Courtney Savercool. Board Member Scott Stevens. We do have a quorum.
Okay, so we don't have any chair updates. Vice chair updates, do you have any?
Yeah, the only thing I would say, and it's something I had mentioned to you, Julie, earlier in the day, as I'm trying to focus more on consistent optimism after living in a world of pessimism and that kind of thing. I'm reminded to be more consistently optimistic. So what I want to say to everybody is that even though we have a lower number of registrations for the Narcan training today, I don't want us to get discouraged by that. We're living in super unique, crazy times right now, and that may play into that. But like I said to Julie earlier today, even if we only have a handful, if each of those people tell 5 or 10 people that, hey, we can get free Narcan through the Walworth County Drug and Alcohol Coalition, that's a huge win. So I just don't want us to be discouraged by a lower number this time. Maybe next time we get 3-4 times that. So just keep staying the course and we'll be fine. That's really the only update I had. Thanks.
Thank you, Corey.
Yep.
I think that's an awesome outlook. Absolutely.
Okay, then we'll, yeah, thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. I was feeling a little defeated. So that was, put a lot of effort into the marketing and connecting. And so that was, your message has really good timing. Thank you.
You bet.
So the treasurer's report, the only change this month is, I haven't paid any of the bills yet. I have to pay for the magnets and I have to pay for the billboard. I'll do that before the next month's meeting, but the fraud was reversed on our account. And so we still have a balance of $5,375.17. So, and I emailed you all those records. Any questions about the treasury report? Perfect. Old business. Should we start with you, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I guess, one of the things that we talked about doing, and we planned to do it yesterday, but had to cancel it, was or 2 days ago now, was actually doing the presentation for release to the schools. And given, I think, is what Corey is talking about, everything that's going on, schools in, schools out, and then, getting people together. I'm wondering if the best way to do this presentation that we're going to release to the high schools in the county with the freshmen would be doing something like this over Zoom. So you're basically doing a training, providing the training using Zoom as the platform, and then you release the Zoom recording to the schools for their use. And then I think the plan was always to come back and follow up with a Zoom type of conference for questions and answers. And so, and I know I know that several of the trainings that I'm doing for the state, that's how we're doing it. We're basically switching speakers where we're located throughout the state, and then putting a presentation together. I think that may be the best way to go, especially given everything that we've got going. I mean, as an example, as you can probably tell, I'm up north. I was exposed to COVID 2 weeks ago. I'm negative, but I've been exposed. And so I wouldn't have been present on Tuesday anyways to help you, because I've been up here for the last 10, 12 days. And so if you think about that in the bigger picture, you know, if we go to do a presentation and somebody gets exposed and can't be there, as let's say Corey as an example, that creates a huge hardship for us. Whereas even if you're exposed, you can do it this way. So I guess that's my thought, and I share that with all of you.
Mhm.
And it might make it easier for some of our other key players from public health and human services and whatnot to be able to help us that way better. So that's just my thought.
So, Mike, I was actually going to share like a similar idea that I wasn't able to get through an email, right? Is because I guess I didn't understand the big picture, how we were going to record at the school. So, in addition to the Zoom, for our, you know, our people that are willing to share their stories, if they could maybe individually videotape their story how they want to, and we can have those to put together compilations when we need to, you know, to kind of bring them together. And that would kind of like help us change up how we were talking about changing up stories. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. 1 second. Is that really loud for you guys with my dog
No,
barking?
it's not. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought like, yeah, the Zoom thing's a good idea too, but if we each like, let's say, for the matter of an idea, if each of the speakers, like yourself, Mike, you record, you know, yourself speaking about your subject matter, and then like Corey doing his education piece, and then each of the people that want to share their story, it can be separate, and we can share a different one or the same one or switch it up month to month, year to year, however, but then we have all those things on deck, you know what I mean, instead of just showing one thing on stage for every school. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, every presentation that we've done, I'd say with the schools, while the speakers have been the same, they've all been a little bit different because, you know, we based on the questions and things like that, it changes itself up. This year we had a new final speaker that was going to be or will be involved in it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything. I
Right.
just want to make sure that it works. And I'm just sharing my, you know, the idea that I have just because, I mean, I did a presentation for the state on a safety training module, a 4-hour presentation that was divided up by 3 of us, and the 3 of us were all over the state. And just the person that was leading the Zoom conference was basically switching it from one speaker, you know, basically one speaker to the other so that we could share screens and things like that. But I'm not opposed to it. I think the idea of recording recovery stories, I think, is a good idea. If we've got people in stories and get them out there somehow, I think that's all really good. So.
Yeah, I agree, Amber. I think that if we have like a small pool of people who are willing to share their recovery stories, we can obviously give them the parameters, video it, keep it if you can to under 5 minutes or less, or here are some things like a basic template or a guide for them, because especially if they're not well familiar with what to cover, maybe just giving them a general guide, and then we could have them all laid on, and we can release them as we need. I think that's a great idea.
I know for this presentation that we were going to do, I had specifically worked with our speaker, had talked to him. I gave him 20 minutes, which was a little less than what we would normally give our final speaker, but basically went through it with him in terms of what we wanted him to talk about. So I think that's pretty easy to put together, especially for any of these recovery presentations that we're going to use in the schools. I think we can easily come up with a template for them.
Right. Well, schools and, if we're ever going to do watch parties or put anything on our website or anything like that too.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think another thing too, I mean, this gets at schools, and a few of us yesterday went through the certification for the Narcan
Yep.
to become, I think there's at least 3 or 4 of us that, went through it yesterday. I was thinking about that yesterday. I think that brings up a whole nother area where being able to train and present that, I'm going to use schools again, as I always seem to come back to. But working with schools, if we were able to get into schools to, let's just say, go to faculty meetings as an example, if they actually allowed you to go in and do the training in a faculty session, you're talking about 40, 50, 60, 70 people, maybe more, every time you present. And I know, as Corey was talking about, the fact that we may not have a ton of people for the session tonight, if we push ourselves, if we go out into some of these groups, we can have tremendous impact.
Yep.
And that's just one. Chamber of Commerce. We did the things with the Chamber of Commerce. I know I did Delavan a year ago or whatever that was. He did something like that for these chambers, man. He could have huge outreach.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think maybe some of these logistics about how we're going to hash this out, should we save that for our executive board meeting next week and make that the primary focus?
So
That's
we have
fine. That's fine by me.
we have a chat come up from Hannah. Does everybody see that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Yep, we have chats coming up.
Right.
Hannah says the recovery stories recordings could also be good to post on social media if the individuals consent to that. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's, I mean, I want to give Maddie an opportunity to talk. He said he had 30
Yes.
minutes. And so, he has a recovery story. He's active in the community, and this ties into participating in our school presentations. So, Maddie, why don't you tell us about you?
Okay. Well, thank you guys first off, thank you for inviting me here, and thank you for everything you guys are doing. Just sitting here listening to this. I'm originally from up north Wisconsin. I now live in Whitewater, and it's just awesome to hear people that are, active in the community, and you guys are fired up about this recovery thing and pumped up to get more outreach, and I like hearing that. I moved down here back in 2017 after a little time in jail after a 13-year meth addiction. I moved down here to straighten my life out, and so far so good. Over 3 years and 10 months clean now, so doing good on that front. I've about a little over a year into my recovery, my dad passed away, and when my dad passed away was when I really started deciding I needed to help other people with their recoveries. And the idea that came to me was to become a motivational speaker and start a Facebook page. So that's what I did. I started the Point of Change a little over 2 years ago now, and I started making live videos and posts and memes and whatever I could to just help raise awareness and help the next person along in their recovery. And if you guys are, looking for somebody to help you with any of this stuff, I would love to help in this. I have spoken in schools before. This COVID has brought up a whole new, I think you guys know just as well as I do, COVID has brought up whole new challenges in everything and spreading a message and having gatherings and things like that. So I'm it's one reason why I'm very thankful that I started my Facebook page. I have about 30 to 40 people that gather every morning at 10 a.m. I go live on my page and I get 30 to 40 people that come in and we just talk about recovery, addiction, life. We laugh, we joke, we have all kinds of fun with it. But at the same time, there's a lot of really good connections that are made, and we've made a lot of good progress. And most of my followers are right here in Wisconsin. So that's really nice to have that home field advantage. So thank you guys for having me come here. I'm not exactly sure what else to share with you today, but I wanted to just offer my services in any way that I can help you guys with. Anything you want shared on social media or anything, you guys can definitely utilize me, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And first and foremost, awesome job on 13 plus years of sobriety. That's incredible. And having chased as a law enforcement officer, having chased users of methamphetamines for years, I can say that 13 years sober is phenomenal. I mean, that thing is a demon. So congrats on that, man.
Well, thank you. It's actually 13 years of using. I had 3 years and 10 months clean. So
Wow. Well, that still every day is a challenge. So you're doing great things, man. And whatever we could do to cross promote, for your page and any support you could give us through testimonials or just recovery story kind of stuff. I think we're all about it. I think it's incredible what you're doing.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, every morning at 10 a.m. I'm live on my page. I'm constantly putting out content. I started this as just something to do in my spare time, and I found that I loved it. So then I went full time with it. Now I'm a full-time live streamer, motivational speaker, and comedian for addiction prevention and recovery. I've spoken at 5 schools, I think now, a couple events. I spoke at the state capitol a year ago. Just anything I can do to give back and to speak and share my story and help the next person,
Well, thank you.
That's awesome, Maddie. Thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, Mike, since you are coordinating school presentations, I think, Maddie, can you put your contact information in the chat so Mike can reach out to you and get you plugged in with us?
Definitely.
Great. Do we want to talk, is there anything else that we want to talk about with Maddie or the school presentations, or table it till Wednesday? Where are we at with that? We good?
Yeah, I think we can wait till Wednesday to, this will give us some time to think about how we want to try and proceed next.
Okay. And Mike, Maddie put his contact information in the chat. You got it? Okay. Let's see. I see you there, Bill. Hello. Didn't mean to ignore you.
Hello.
Okay, so is there any other unfinished business? Okay, new business. I guess I'll start with the new business. We're gonna have our Narcan training tonight. I'm doing it on Facebook tonight instead of Zoom. And what I did was I created a private group and then a chat room, and I'm hoping that I emailed all the participants links to both the group and the chat room, and I'm hoping that'll work. I just thought it would be interesting to do it a different way. So hopefully that will work out. And what I will do is screen share. I did it 2 ways. I have the video going to premiere in the room, in the group, and then also in the chat room, I can do a screen share. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to identify the attendees through the chat room. So wish me luck. I've been playing with Facebook a little bit, and I'm just learning as I go. Any questions about the training for tonight?
No questions, but I wanted to say thanks, Julie, for spearheading that and continual learning with the challenges of social media and creating rooms and groups and live streams and stuff. You're like the tip for us on this stuff. So I just want to say thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks. Thanks for saying that. It's my pleasure. It's important work. So I guess other old business, let's talk about the Narcan Direct program. Couple of things. I went to Jefferson yesterday to talk to Emmy, who has been helping us with our doses, and she gave me, she showed me her bag, what they do when they do the distribution. And so this is something that we need to develop before we start. I don't know, I didn't attend the training yesterday. I signed up for January. They've got this beautiful booklet, toolkit local stories, addiction stories. I'll just read the table of contents. Factors that can increase the chance of addiction, signs and symptoms, treatment options, resources, along with, administering Narcan. It's a beautiful booklet. It's beautiful. It's 34 pages. So,
Julie, is that theirs themselves, or does that come from the state?
it's theirs. They developed it.
Okay,
So-
because the state's got a bunch of resources that they released to us this morning.
Oh,
I haven't looked at it yet, but I know there's a whole pile of stuff that they sent out or that they released that we can use along with the training presentations.
excellent. So we probably will want, like, they probably have some PDFs, I imagine, right? We're going to want to spend some money and have some of that stuff printed. So just keep that in mind, and we can talk about that at another time too. And maybe we might, go ahead.
This was a question that they talked about yesterday in the training. I mean, obviously the Narcan itself as part of, the direct program, that's one thing. But the face shields, we've been handing out face shields. Now that's not part of what we're going to be getting to dispense, but they talked about getting the disposable face shields like on Amazon or whatever. And I got to thinking that it would, number one, be a good thing, especially with COVID, having to deal with that, if we distributed those with the Narcan Direct trainings and whatever. But my question is our funds that we've received from the various organizations for supplies, can we go out and purchase those disposable face barriers or breathing barriers using funds that we've received?
I think so. I think that the grant will allow for us to allocate. Well, maybe Anna, maybe you're the one, because we applied for the grant through your agency. So are we able to allocate funds for that?
As long as, if you're planning on using the grant funding, as long as that was like mentioned as a part of what you're going to be using that funding for, or as part of, I think you did that for the Narcan anyway, so I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Within what you guys have asked for, so for sure.
Okay. Well, tell me more about the training. It was 2 hours? I know Emma, you went, Mike, you went. Why don't you guys? 2.5.
2.5. I thought it was good. I mean, they went through some stuff really, really, really quick. I think the fact that we've been to so many Narcan trainings ourselves and certainly helped. I guess I walked away from it personally thinking, and I'm a teacher, so I train people. Pretty easy to train people, especially using the materials and stuff that they gave us. It's pretty straightforward. I know they're going to send out when they can get into the office. They're going to send out the nasal Narcan trainers, or a trainer for each of us. So be able to show people how it actually works without busting a regular one and spraying it. As well as all the materials, the resource materials, and everything that everything that we have access to now. I think it's going to be really positive. That was just my thought. I don't know, Emma, you were part of it, so.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah, I agree. I think it was really fast, but a lot of the information is stuff that we use in our trainings, so we are pretty familiar with the content, and I think we'll be able to put on our own trainings no problem with the material that they provided us. I think it's going to be a great resource, like you said, to get into those different areas in the community that really could benefit from this and spread the word.
Yeah. And I think too that, as we've done our presentations, the work that Corey does and the work, the things that Corey puts in there, I think that, again, I think it works well. I mean, I think I can just see the whole thing going along really well.
That's awesome. And that was my question to guys who went through it, as how does what we've been doing for a year and a half, 2 years now compare, with the education piece and the distribution? Like, how are we tracking? Are we doing the right thing? Or do we have a lot of improvement based on what you guys saw? How do we stack up?
I would say the only thing that they said yesterday, and I understand where they're coming from, because they're talking about using pictures that relay shock and different things like that. They talk pretty much about not using some of the pictures about people that have OD'd, or the picture about the kid in the back seat with the two people slumped over, just because what they're afraid of with the groups that you might be working with is the triggering element.
Sure.
And while I understand that, I guess the other side of me is that, from my limited experience, I guess, is it works. I know when we do the stuff with the kids and how you explain it and what you see, I think the kids have been receptive to that. They talk about it. It wakes them up. They start paying attention when you start getting to that. I think the one thing that they talked about yesterday, which we're doing, I think, a good job of, and we can always continue to look at new and different ways to present it, is the issue of paraphernalia and storage and things like that. I think that's really important, especially once we start reaching out to other groups. So if we start presenting to community groups or parent groups or things like that, I think we want to make sure we really hit that hard. But I think what we're doing, what they showed yesterday and what we're doing now, they work hand in hand.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it is always like a slippery slope. Like, right, we're trying to defeat stigma, right? And we're trying to be super transparent about the problem, but at the same time, some of that imagery is disturbing. So yeah, I can appreciate that. And I think it's something we have to be cognizant of. That, if we grow, we might get some visceral reactions to it that are upsetting to folks. It's a good point.
So I have a question. Are they saying that's that trauma trigger, or are they talking trauma or trigger for relapse? Because are like all imagery, like showing the paraphernalia and the drugs, like, is that triggering for relapse? I'm not clear on that.
Yeah, that they're talking about triggering for relapse for someone in recovery. And then they also talked about the shock value. If it's like a family member, they might kind of really overwhelmed seeing that, and then they might not.
Maybe maybe in the future we could take some kind of survey or something of people that have registered for our class and see what they think about that. Because I think, people who already know that could be triggering for, but I also feel like the imagery is especially important for people who haven't been around it and don't know like what a foam cone is or what that paraphernalia looks like. How, I guess it would be hard to kind of like teach people who are coming in to learn like what it looks like. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that they're just talking about really just being careful and just really weighing your audience to see, maybe it is important to educate about paraphernalia and what those things look like, but maybe taking some of the really shocking images out, but still having enough images that we can educate people that aren't familiar with the topic.
Yeah,
That
And then they
makes
also
sense.
talked about too making sure that we're using recovery center words, that we're not using terms like junkie or addicts, that we're using like person in recovery or persons with a substance use disorder.
Yeah, Mike, did you have something else?
Um, yeah, I guess I was just, I was just thinking, that, we've been through the trainings ourselves so much, and, we're more familiar with it. I look at it from the standpoint of going into a cold audience per se, that you're maybe just educating for the first time. I use teachers as an example. I think if we were going to do this presentation to, let's say, 70 teachers in an auditorium, and I guess first and foremost, I would probably warn them right up front. There may be some images displayed that might be disturbing. But the fact is if somebody's coming in cold and they've never experienced it, and we can tell them what to look for. That telling them what to look for and actually seeing it are two different things.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so I think we got to be careful how we put it together. But somehow that visualization that goes along with that slide as an example that talks about these are the things that you might see if you come upon it, it's reinforcing. It's a way of blueprinting in the brain.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a good point about the disclaimer. And I think sometimes when I've done the presentation, I spend more time on that warning, but I think that's a good point to bring that up, and, that you're going to see some images that may be triggering or based on
Make
past
you
trauma
uncomfortable.
might be upsetting. I think that's a good point to bring that up.
I think that's a really good idea too.
Another issue with the Narcan training was I talked to Dennis from the state tonight before the meeting, and we're looking at ways to piggyback off of another provider of the Narcan Direct program. And so I'll discuss this more with you guys on Wednesday. But it looks like we are a go to move forward and become providers. There's just some bureaucracy that needs to be addressed, and I'll share that with you guys on Wednesday.
Awesome.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? All right. I guess what I don't even have an old agenda in front of me. Public comment. Hannah, did you want to say anything? We didn't even give you an opportunity to say anything.
Just basically hi to everybody, and glad I got to join your guys' meeting today and learn more about what you guys are doing. But I hope to be here and attending those meetings more often. So looking forward to getting to know you guys and helping you guys with your awesome work. So thanks for everything you do.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Any other old business? New business? Any new business? I don't have any new business. Let's see. Craig from the Billboard said that our ad ends today and that they're gonna run the Recovery Warrior ad in their open spots for 10 days at no charge. So thank you.
Awesome.
And Big Toy Storage for that. That's all I got. Does anybody else have any topics that they want to discuss? All right, I think, what do we need a motion to to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Emma second.
We're a lively group tonight, aren't we? Oh,
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, well, thank you, everyone. And our next meeting will be the 2nd. Do you have a calendar behind you? December. I'll just put it out there.
January 7th, not 14th.
Our next monthly meeting will be January 14th at 5 p.m. via Zoom. See you guys then. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.